nothing to it. Go ahead and bring Goliath on. Ain't no giant, I ain't gon' fire on. Catch a fade, you I'm warm, I'm gone. Y'all can catch the wave that I am on. I am icon, y'all are wide wrong. Think that I'm gonna reconcile bonds. Here ain't nothing to it though. This is on me, ain't got much to do with who you know. Keeping it true to from 10 L's into a milli though. But they already knew that those farewell to your opinions. Know that he is so. This is all me, ain't got much to do with who you know. Yeah, keeping it true to form, but they already knew that, y'all. Here we go.
Welcome to downtown Mansfield, Ohio, exclusively right here on the OH Report. It is the Saturday Pigskin Week 4 edition. My name is Brian Skowronski, joined by the pride of Shelby, Mr. Erik Will, and the unofficial mayor of Mansfield, Effie James. Big week for a lot of teams here in the area. What stands out to you, Erik?
A little bit of a bounce back week. Lucas bouncing back, Shelby bouncing back. Clear Fork getting a true bounce back test this last week here with Bellevue. So for me, that was it. And then also the start of just conference play, kind of getting that what I used to call the second phase of your season fired up. A lot of league games this week, and kind of seeing a lot of things starting to heat up there.
F?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Clear Fork win, like Erik was saying. The Clear Fork win against Bellevue is huge. I thought that was going to be a really tough game for Clear Fork, but they came to play it and win. Another local game I looked at I thought would be a little bit better contest was the Shelby, Ontario game, but it ended up being a little bit lopsided. So, it's week 4. Things are starting to, the cream is starting to rise to the top here, so it's an interesting part of the year.
Well, let's not just talk about it. Let's see it right now. All the highlights we had from last night coming your way in the run back. We begin at Heisey Park in Galion, where River Valley and the Tigers met as undefeated. But there would only be one Tiger that would show its stripes on this night to improve to 4-0. Isaiah Alsip from the Wildcat. He is a dynamic player. He gets in to give Galion the lead. Very next Tigers possession, Trevor O'Brien barrels his way in. Everyone got in on the action for the Tigers on this night. There's Wilson Frankhouse, a touchdown run. River Valley would get on the board, but man, they cruised out there in dear old Galion. 38-6. Tigers looking pretty sharp at home, boys.
Yeah, the Alsop kid's really, really good. They got 3 or 4 players that complement him well. If their offense and defensive lines hold up, they're going to be a really tough out in the MOAC.
Yeah, I think they got it all. Good line play, decent quarterback, and then athletes all over the field. Lucas looking to bounce back after a week 3 loss to Northmore, hosting Troy Christian, and the Cubs defense was incredible all night long, creating an early turnover here. Logan Niswander eventually is going to cash that in for a score, and it just piled up from there. Ethan Sauter, you're going to see him break loose here, 48 yards on the ground. He also was the top receiving threat, had a pick, recovered an onside kick. They got kids just do it all, boys. They got a few different guys that can beat you in a variety of ways.
Yeah, it was a way to bounce back for Lucas from last week's game. Anytime you can get quarterback turnovers from the opposite team, you're doing the right thing. A big win last week for Lucas.
Icing on the cake, Grant Barrett there with the pick 6, 43-0 they roll. Mansfield Senior looking for a 4-0 start. 3rd home game for the Tigers already. Terrence Fleckinger getting loose, breaking it off for 46 yards early in the game to put the Tigers on top. And now look at this dime from Cam Todd, hitting Cyrus Ellerby right on the money, 69 yards. Todd was really good last night, F.
Yeah, they were able to get their passing game back on track. He passed for over 60% completion percentage, and they had big turnovers in the game. The running game was going well. Offense really getting back on track for the Tigers.
That's Avion Gross on the last play before the half that made it 28-zip in favor of Mansfield Senior. They roll 42-7. Clear Fork hosting unbeaten Bellevue. Colts looking for their first win on the new turf, but the Redmen had it going on early. Keegan Ray gets it to Marshall, who is going to do the rest. Watch this dude take it down the sideline, 53-yard house call. It's 7-0 in favor of Bellevue. They led 21-3 late in the second before the Colts came alive. Brennan South juking his way in for 6 here. This touchdown made it 21-9, and then in the second half, Elijah Hughes got things rolling. Clear Fork comes all the way back, gents, 30-21 for the win.
Huge statement game for the Colts this week. They had a conference opponent coming into their place. They really stepped up and got the win.
Homecoming night in Ontario, Shelby looking to play spoiler, and boy would they. Here's McGuire Albert to Andre Hill for the first score of the game. It's 7-zip Shelby. Owen Fisher later on, he went for 146 and a couple of scores. He gets into the end zone, but to me, the real story was the Whippets defense. 9 total sacks. Erik, they were unbelievable.
9 total sacks, 6 of those by Merrick Albert. Basically unblockable. You're looking at 6'3", 215 pounds, knows how to throw his hands and hips. He's going to be a nightmare for most offenses the rest of the year.
Albert chucked 4 touchdowns over 300 yards as they cruise 42-7 on the road. Before we go any further, I just want to start with a big thank you to Whippet Nation, who put me on notice last night. Let me know that my crystal ball bowl call picked that Ontario was going to upset them was it was false. It didn't turn out very good. Erik, Shelby looked awesome, man.
Yeah.
They had it going on both sides of the football. It just felt like Ontario was overmatched and outcoached pretty much every step of the way.
You know, I don't know about outcoached. I just feel like Shelby has really good players. Maybe some defensive adjustments that could have been made maybe a little bit quicker on the Warriors side, but, you know, just, you know, calling a spade, you know, Shelby up front, handled on both sides of the ball, and I think the Shelby kids really, the Shelby players took that, you know, some of the comments maybe that were made earlier in the week, they put that on notice. They kind of wanted to show that they have some pretty good athletes in their backfield and on their edge, and they were able to do that. You know, they're very explosive. They have 4 or 5 guys that can score from just about anywhere on the field. And I think that him, or McGuire Albert and Cam Todd are the 2 best quarterbacks, at least in the immediate area. And, you know, when you have good quarterback play, when you have good leadership, it allows you to be successful a lot of weeks.
I was so impressed with seeing what Clear Fork did, coming back from a 21-3 hole where they had lost their previous game at home. Effie, the resiliency, having something like that happen for you, where you come back, you knock off an undefeated, and you shut them out in the second half. What do you think that can do for this Colts team moving ahead?
Well, it's huge for them, and I think it comes from their winning culture that they've developed there at Clear Fork. Having a senior captain and senior quarterback, Brennan South, really step up and make big plays down the stretch. You don't get that from other teams. Other teams get down to a quality opponent, and it's hard to get them back in the flow of the game. But when you got great leadership, good quarterback play, you're going to have a chance in all games, and that is a huge win for Clear Fork there.
That was a huge win for Harding last night, too, knocking off Pleasant. So there's a little bit of a jumble there in the MOAC. Setting up a nice Week 10 matchup. You don't want to look ahead too far here, but Shelby hosting Clear Fork. Before we get to that, though, where do you think Galion factors in? They're still undefeated, Erik. They got some good athletes on the field. Do you think that they're a true contender in the MOAC right now?
Absolutely. They're 1-0 in the league. That's the only stat right now that even matters, is that league stat. So, and even Pleasant with that loss, they're going to be right in there. I believe, in my opinion, I believe it really is a 4-team race. I think all 4 of those teams are going to have a say. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the winner of that conference, of the MOAC, has 1, maybe even 2 losses, because it could be just a war of attrition.
Wow.
Not to say that will happen. I just think it could happen. But Galion has the athletes. I think that we've been talking a lot about Shelby and Clear Fork and Pleasant, and really Galion probably feels a little bit disrespected, quite frankly. So I'm assuming that week to week, especially as they move through their conference slate, they're going to be really motivated to prove people like us wrong.
Yeah, well, the Tigers team that we've been talking about a lot, at least on this show, the TY Tigers, the Mansfield Senior. You've seen them in person again, Effie. The defense keeps doing their thing. They finally allowed a touchdown last night,
right,
but they roll over West Holmes, and just overall, it feels like this team, they got it clicking on all cylinders.
Well, offensively, I was impressed last night. I really felt like they were able to bring things together. They've been trying to. Cam Todd, real efficient last night, really made some good throws, made great decisions with the ball, didn't turn the ball over last night. So he played well, and their offense, their running game looked good, and then obviously defensively, they played well. They had a bad series there in the third quarter, and they gave up a touchdown. But other than that, the Tigers are rolling, and they're going to need to be playing on all cylinders here come next week.
We're 1 game into the OCC schedule now, so let's go ahead and exaggerate what we think is going to happen for the rest. Mount Vernon's still undefeated, though. They beat Lexington last night 26-21. Worcester smashed Madison 54-21. Outside of Mansfield, do you see any legitimate contenders?
Well, it's interesting. We were talking earlier about, Ashland being 0-4 now, but I'm going to tell you what, they could still be one of the better teams in the OCC. They played a tremendous schedule, so Ashland is there. Lex is going to be a team you have to deal with. Mount Vernon, obviously, is still winning games, so, the league part of this still has a long way to go, and I think Mansfield, no matter what happens here this next week, is still going to have to play some good football to win this league.
Speaking of the Tigers and playing some good football, they ran some good RPOs last night. Effie's going to break them down for you right now on the whiteboard.
All right, so today we're going to talk about run-pass option. They call it read pass or run-pass option that the Tigers ran last night very successfully. 2 touchdowns for Cam Todd on these concepts. And the idea is to put the defense in a bind numbers-wise, and you make one read on one player, and it'll tell the quarterback whether to pull the ball, or whether to pull it and throw it, or give it to the running back. So let's take a look at what happens here on this play. Your quarterback here is really, his eyes are right here on this free safety when he makes this read. The running back's going to come across. It's basic blocking up front. All right, it's slide protection to the play call side. Everybody's protecting their gap, and we fake run action to the strong side. So we have this action here occupying a safety, this action occupying a safety, and if the quarterback sees that this free safety, who's an extra man, stays outside the box, he's going to give it. The quarterback, the running back is going to run then for what should be a good game because we got everybody covered up. But if this free safety slows down to make this play, he pulls it out and looks for your Division I recruit on a backside post and throws for a touchdown pass, which is what we're going to see here in this play. There's a pull, there's the read. Cam Todd up top to Angelo Gross. It is simple. It's a simple numbers game when you talk about read pass option or run pass option for the Tigers. They done it well last night and got a big win.
So there you have it, the TY Tigers in the RPO game, and you're going to see a couple of those plays right now in Friday Night Phenoms presented by Baker's Collision. Let's kick things off where we just left things off over at Arlen Field, and it's Angelo Gross, the Mansfield Senior athlete. He plays every position on the field, so I'm not even going to name what he does. 7 catches last night, a $127, and a score as the Tigers beat up on West Holmes 42-7. And we say it all the time, whenever he touches the ball, it just looks different. He's that type of guy.
Yeah, he's a guy that looks like he should be being recruited by major Division I level schools, and his attitude has really changed to where he plays the part on the football field. He's a demanding leader. They gave up a point. I was in the end zone. They gave up that first touchdown, and he was, I can't say the word what he was, but he was upset that they had given up some points. So that showed me that he cares a lot for this team, and his leadership has grown.
Yeah, there's a reason that he's going to be playing at Michigan State coming up in the near future. Trevor O'Brien, the Galion Senior running back and linebacker, almost totaled 100 yards from scrimmage, had a couple of touchdowns as the Tigers roll River Valley. They stay undefeated. Just having a dude like that can run it in between the tackles, also can make plays in the passing game. Always good to have somebody like that.
Yeah, I can tell you as a coach, that running inside the tackles is huge. Oftentimes we like to get the ball on the edge. We always have the athletes get the ball on the edge. But when you have somebody that can hum it up in there and go get those 4, 5, 6 gritty yards, and then you look at his presence on defense, he gives them a bona fide presence in the middle and filling gaps. He's a tough young man.
Big reason why the Tigers are off to a 4-0 start. McGuire Albert from Shelby making it back onto the list. He was special. He had some dimes last night. 14-23, over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, 21.5 yards per completion. That's the type of day that you like to see as a coach.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing a great job of keeping his elbow under the ball. His release point's great. He's really improved throwing the deep ball. And you can see that the work in the offseason and Coach Mahaney and that offensive staff have really got him playing at a high level. And McGuire would be the first one to tell you, he can't do it without a great line and a great receiving core, and he has that. But, man, it's nice when you got the leadership on that offense coming from that quarterback position and just dropping dimes.
Also had 7 carries, 18 yards, and was the vocal leader of that team last night. I saw on the sideline he was a ball of energy. His baby brother, Merrick Albert, even though I don't know how much of a baby he is at this point, was a man last night. The junior defensive end had 6 sacks and a defensive shutout against Ontario. I don't think at any level, we were talking about this off camera, I don't think I've ever seen 6 sacks.
Yeah, you know, he's been playing really, really well. I think he's got 11 sacks already through 4 games.
He does.
So he's going to be going after the school record, you know, which I believe is 15 for a season. So he's going to have an opportunity to chase that thing. But as far as last night goes, just special and unblockable. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, Shelby rolls on the road, spoiling homecoming for Ontario 42-7. And then finally, let's go out to the Valley. Elijah Hughes, Clear Fork Senior, middle linebacker and running back. Just a physical presence on both sides of the ball. He was their leading tackler in the game and then had the go-ahead touchdown. And then the icing on the cake touchdown. Just had a special night.
Right, big plays from your key players in big games. And I've always been taught and always taught young kids, like if you're going to be a big time player, you expect to be a leader on this team, you got to make the plays when they count the most. And to see kids at Clear Fork make those plays, and this young man has such a great game and an impact on a big game is what you come to expect from your leadership.
Hughes helps the Colts erase an 18-point deficit as they come back to knock off previously unbeaten Bellevue. So that was your top individual performances of the week. Let's check out the top 5 plays from Friday night right now, presented by North Central State College. Y'all like 3-step drops, perfect timing and precision for nominee number 1, McGuire Albert. Deep on the cheddar, Grant Gossam got the cheese. Deep strike, all in rhythm, 40 yards in the score. The coverage ain't bad either, but the hungry Hounds, they could smell the pay dirt. 6th row, perfect catch, all in stride with it. Steamroll at the Big O. Play 2 and it's quarter number 2, no time left, so West Holmes looking to make a big play, but meet Avion Gross instead, who fidget spins his way out of the tackle and that boy gone. Coasting 83 yards on the final play of the first half, Mansfield Senior wins big, but no play bigger than Gross's pick sixer that took him into the end zone. Over at the Colt Corral, senior quarterback Brandon South staring down the barrel of an 18-point hole, and they don't like that over there at Clear Fork. So shake it, bake it, gonna take it. 25 yards all the way into the end zone. One more time, please, can I have some more? South breaking them off out of the pocket, gets all slippery, breaking some ankles. This all sparking a 27-zip Colt stampede and a comeback win over Bellevue. Now let's go back to this stadium real quick and someone please tackle Owen Fisher. Straight up beast mode like a whole bag of Skittles in the furnace as Fisher tastes the rainbow. Bursting through 3 different arm tacklers, then giving free rides for about the last 3 of his 29-yard scoring run. Simply ridiculous. More like the Hulk than a human being. Play number 5 and it's the Lucas Cubs and don't blink. See what I mean? How did Ethan Sauter even get the pill as he's rumbling down the sideline? 48 yards untouched for the score. Number 10 for the Cubs, of course, he's fast, but man, look at the ball flip there. Looking more like a touch pass and hoops than a Lucas handoff, and it all ends with a slam dunk in the end zone for Sauter. So obviously we had some awesome plays and some awesome games all around the area last night. Give me the storyline that sticks out to you, Erik, Will. What's the number 1 thing that you're probably going to be thinking about on this Saturday?
Like I said, just I believe with Shelby bouncing back, Clear Fork really getting that marquee win on their schedule, truly getting that taste of that Granville game out of their mouth. Seeing Lucas bounce back the way they did. The Tigers continue to impress. Those are just things that are sticking out to me from week 4.
What about for you, F?
Well, I think week 4, like we talked about before, is really, again, seeing the cream, the better teams rise to the top. Everything we thought was a surprise of week 1, we're starting to see all those things come to fruition on week 4. So now we're getting more deeper into conference play, and we'll get a chance to see which teams are really going to separate themselves in the conference, not just as a football team.
Yeah, for me, I think it's just the MOAC, the fact that Harding go ahead and knocks off Pleasant, and then the other teams that we thought were good continue to win. It just seems like it's really jumbled at the top. That's going to be a fun race to keep an eye on. As we look forward now, boys, get out your crystal balls again for this week. Who's got a bold call for me? So far, we have been really bad at this.
Really bad.
Erik, what do you got?
Well, that's why it's a crystal ball. You're supposed to be bad at this. None of us are tarot card readers. I'm just excited to get to this senior high game. My prediction is they're going to keep Stewart, the running back, who nobody ever does this. I think they're going to keep him under 150. Which, that sounds like, I'm telling you, that's a prediction, because this dude last week rushed for 200 and some odd yards, and this kid is special, major talent across the state. He's probably a Mr. Football candidate. He's that good. And then I think Pleasant's going to go up and give Shelby a really good football game at Skiles.
Well, I'm going to say with the Tigers, again, my bold prediction at the beginning that they were going to run the table. I think I'm going to say also that this is going to be a big win for them. I really think, and I know Sandusky is a talented team. Looking at who they play, their competition, they haven't really been tested. And some people may say the same of the Tigers, but they did get a big win against Norwalk early, and I think they've grown each week. So I think this is going to be a little bit of 2 to 3 touchdown game in favor of the Tigers this week.
Ooh, man, you guys are a little bit gun shy after we hit some whiffs on the first couple of weeks. Under 150 yards just to win. How about this? I'll take it one more step further. The Tigers defense is going to hold Sandusky to just 1 score on the night. I think they roll over at Arlen Field, where they get to play 4 their first 5. I'm not sure how Choky got that schedule in the works, but I got the Tigers winning and winning big. All right, Erik, Will, thank you as always for coming in. Effie James, you guys are spectacular, and so is the show. Thank you guys out there for watching. We'll see you back here next Saturday on the Pigskin.